he's an eminent researcher in education as well as in operations. So he will take us through and he will also guide us how what are the challenges that we are facing in the era of COVID. He also look into the aspects of the digital divide that we have and how online learning and teaching impacting our overall higher education industry or higher education platforms. So in that there are two discussants, Mr. Jen Bhai and myself. And I'd like to call chair to take the lead from here. And we are all set to go. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Jadar. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Today is going to be a great lecture because we have with us none other than Professor Boilochan Behra, who is a very prominent research scholar in geography. We know him since I personally know him since last 7 to 10 years. So his ideas are very prominent, very clear, and whatever he actually do his research. He actually do it in a very real ground level with ground level feedback. So today he has kindly agreed to give a lecture on this online platform on higher education. So there are two discussants also with us. So Dhiren Sahu as well as Joydev, as well as many eminent friends are there also, whoever wants to speak in case of higher education and online teaching. So they are also welcome. It's not that it is bound for only discussants or who are just speaking. So first we will listen to Professor Boilochan Behra for 45 minutes to 1 hour maximum. After that we will ask 15 minutes for discussion to our two discussants, and then we will open our forum for everybody to ask their question. Also in between they can ask their questions. So not taking much time, it has already been late. So Professor Boilochan, it's our pleasure to have you in this platform, and we are really eager, most of us eager to listen to you and listen to your ground level realities and views, and we hope it will enriching and we will learn many things from discussions from our friends also. So over to you, Boilochan. So stage is yours. Please go ahead. Go ahead.
Kindly switch on your mic and or keep your mic near to your voice.
Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
yes, it's audible. Yes, it's audible.
Okay. Now, now my voice is audible, right?
Yes, yes, Professor, we can see you and we can hear you.
Yes, sir. So, thank you, Vikas Bhai and Jaydev and all other members, core member of Amaprayas family. I am very much thankful for giving me a chance to share my thought and experiences. Being a fraternity of teaching professions, I have been teaching through online platforms in last 4 to 5 months. From my experiences and theoretical background, I am trying to understand the online teaching platform and its implications to a larger mass of students in higher learning across the countries of the world. And particularly today's topic is purely based on from a marginal, we can say the backward regions. And within backward regions, I had picked up one backward district of Odisha, that is Gajapati. How they are experiencing, how the students are experiencing online teaching, how far this online teaching satisfied their needs, aspirations, and how far these platforms help the teachers to transact their lessons and fulfill the basic objectives of higher learning. So without much delay, I am going to share some of the slides, and in between these slides, I am trying my level best to explain the different aspects of different problems, issues, as well as challenges that we are facing nowadays. So let me share the PPT. Okay, I think the presentation is visible, right?
No, sir.
Okay, just a minute. Maybe the network. Is it visible? Yes.
Yes.
Uh, so as we know, my presentation is divided into four major divisions. I am trying to look at the diversity and disparities in higher educational institutions in India. From the
full screen, boy, if possible.
Okay, just a minute. Now is it full version?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, boy.
So in the first part, I am trying to look at the diversities and disparities in higher educational institutions in India. Then I am looking at the status of information technology in India and the higher educational institutions. Then in the third part, I am trying to look at how do we experience online teaching from a backward district of Odisha. And finally, I trying to summarize the things that is going to be discussed in subsequent session. As you know, this COVID-19 emergence brought not only the health crisis but also the socio-economic and psychological stress across societies of the world, and it has massive impact on global education system. As we know, India is one of the largest country in terms of enrollment, in terms of in terms of absolute number. However, the relative share is relatively low, around 24% in higher educational institutions. We do have large number of universities, around 1,000 of diverse categories, starting from central universities, institutions of premier category like IITs, IIM. Beside this, we have the state universities, deemed to be universities, private universities, and many more. Similarly, we have around 40,000 colleges and almost 11,000 standalone institutions covering the 37.4 million students and almost 14.16 or almost 14.2 lakhs teachers of different capacity, starting from assistant professor to emeritus professors. They are serving or imparting knowledge to the youth. And if we look at the before going to understand the reality at the ground level, we have to understand some of the basic educational statistics which are regularly collected by the All India Education Survey, Government of India, under the Ministry of Human Resource Development. 61% colleges, if we look at that, 61% colleges, which is very much correlated with the population distribution of India. Almost we have 60% populations, more than 60% populations are living in a rural area, and 60% colleges are located in rural area. And you know that how rural area is completely different from urban area, and how it is we can say how it is lacking in different aspects as compared to urban or metropolitan cities, right? So if we look at these statistics are very important to understand the reality of online teaching, to understand the online teaching in different subject with respect to different subjects. So that's why I am trying to give some of the statistics, and then only we can have a very good understanding of how this online teaching help us and in what way it caters the needs and demands of different subjects of different natures. So if we look at that around 17% students enroll in science, 13, almost 14% in engineering and technology. Most of them colleges run UG courses and primarily managed by the private body. Almost 70% colleges of India are run by private sectors, and these private sectors are run by taking the money from the students. So as pandemic has badly affected the economic sector or economic aspect of parents particularly, so definitely it had some kind of impact on private educational institutions. And if we look at the government colleges, that only very few, for the, we can say just 1/5 of our total colleges comes under the government purview. Now, within this pandemic situations, it exposed the inadequacy of Indian higher education systems, particularly in terms of online teaching and learning. If we look at the national policy on education in 1986, it has also gave due emphasis during that time that education, particularly higher education, must incorporate technology in teaching and learning processes. But if we look at till today, we are suffer from many lack of infrastructure, IT infrastructure, and within such a difficult situations, how do we transact our knowledge or share our knowledge to our newcomers or new generations, and we are preparing for future citizen of our country, right? So UNESCO report says that almost 1.3 billion students have been affected because of these pandemic situations, and almost 70% of students, it says almost 70% of students. If we look at the Indian contributions, it is almost 3 million students, and large number of these students are from low technology background to no technology background. So you can imagine in such a situation where large number of students do not have access to different kind of technology, how they can get maximum benefit of online teaching and learning processes. Now, if we look at in terms of enrollment in higher educational institutions, India is the second largest after China, having the enrollment in terms of real in terms of absolute number. Although it has in relative share, we are much below than the most of the developed countries like US, UK, and other Western European countries. So even similarly, we are the second largest online course enrollment of almost after United States of America. So we do have regular courses are doing through online mode around 1,55,000, which contributes almost 15% of the total online enrolled students after US, which has 32% at the global level, right? So looking at the Indian perspective, that 80% of Indian population now uses mobile hotspot for accessing internet, and within that 96% of students who used mobile hotspot to gain access to educational resources and have many problems related to internet connectivity. So if certain kinds of lecture is going on, certain kinds of discussion is going on, and you have a subsequent interrupted in the internet connectivity, then you cannot understand the entire lecture or entire session that is being taught by the teachers to the students. So we have to look at these statistics because without this knowledge, we cannot state any kind of policy planning, or we cannot suggest for further improvement of the basic facilities that we have. Now, if we look at the status, now it is very, very important to understand the structure of or the background over which such kind of decision are taken, because without understanding the background, we cannot judge whether the things which has been done is correct to the context or not. So that's why it is very important to look at some of the statistics collected by the government agencies like NSSO, like other agencies such as World Bank, UNESCO, and all these, right? So India is, even though the the third largest producer and consumer of the power or electricity, but still we do have 200 millions of people are still lack of access to electricity, which almost 17% of household. Though our government has mentioned that 100% electrified villages, but there are 17% how rural household are without electricity. And how can we think, and you can relate this power supply with 60% location of higher educational institutions in rural area. So 7% university, 14% colleges, and 19% standalone institutions do not have computer centers. So you can imagine such a vast and topmost institute do not have computer centers to cater the online education in a more efficient manner to the learners across the countries of the world, or those who are enrolled, right? Despite the national digital literacy missions in since 2014, 3 flagship program has already been done, and it only touches 1 point or less than 2% of the total populations. Okay. Now, if we look at the NSS statistic, then rural urban disparity divide in digital platform we are clearly noticed, and it is even very low as compared to the developed nations, right? In rural area only 4.4%, and in urban area 23.4%. Altogether 10.7% household have computers. Okay, so household having internet facility using different kinds of devices to access internet facility, then only 15% rural area do access internet, and only 42% household access internet at urban area. So there are rural urban disparity almost 3 times than rural area in terms of internet accessibility, right? And look at the population distribution, then more than 60% populations are located in rural area, right? So, and their accessibility to internet facility is very, very less as compared to the urban area, right? Urban area have around 32% of population living in urban area, but within that 42% of populations are using access to internet for different purposes, right? So operating internet varies across gender as well, right? If we look at the male and female, in order to access the internet facilities, then females do have low level of accessibility as compared to male in terms of internet connectivity. Now there is a report by Quackquile Simon's report which entitled as COVID-19 a wake up call for telecom services providers, states that Indian internet infrastructure is not ready for the paradigm shift to online learning in colleges and universities in India. So we are just doing some kind of emergency things, okay, just we are patch up certain things, but it is not the real kind of online teaching. Okay, so in subsequent slides I will let you share some of the component of how the online teaching, what are the major stages of online teaching, and in which stage we are now. So looking at the connectivity and signal issues, we do have the most common problems, and I will share the ground reality that I have collected information from the students of nearby colleges as well as from my college, particularly from different departments. Students as well as the teachers while attending online classes, it is not the problem faced by the student, but also we do as a teachers. Particularly I am sharing my experience. Often I do find problems of connecting the students because of poor connectivity. Now the report also pointed out that infrastructural technology, in terms of infrastructural technology, we in terms of quality to ensure the sound delivery of online classes, India is far away from it. Okay, so India, in short, we can say in terms of adequacy and effective digital platforms for online classes, we are away. And if we look at another, according to IMAI, despite the second largest internet users after China, significant proportion of rural India does not have internet access. Even if we look at the smartphone penetration to the population in rural area is very, very less, even though they are using, but they are not using this particular thing for proper access to different kind of educational resources, right? Now if we look at the internet users, right, 1 of 5 internet users of age 16 to 29 use internet less than once in a week. So think, this is the particularly so particularly if we look at, these are the age group which are basically enrolled in higher educational institution, right, after 18 years to around 30 years up till the completion of PhD or postdoc, maybe 32 years. So this is the age group under which the a particular students going to enroll in higher education learning. So in rural India, if we look at the most of the this pandemic situation also forced the student to go back to their respective home. Majority of students came back to their respective home if they are located in the rural area. So definitely they have very poor access to different kind of internet, right? So 1 of 5 internet users of this particular age group has a once in a week they are using it. So if we do regularly certain kind of classes, then they will also face to access all these things. So rural areas are very much deprived and e-learning can get hampered. Okay, so and again I have said that there is a male-female disparity in accessing on the internet. So female internet users just half of the 258 million male internet users, and bias is more evident in rural area. That means simply if we look at the rural area in terms of male-female distribution, the gap is very, very high in terms of using internet, but such gap is very minimum in case of urban area because of high level of literacy, or say for example the financial conditions maybe of the parents is good, so that they can give all kinds of valuable assets as well as the internet facility to both male and female children of their family, right? But this disparity is remarkable in urban area, right? Lack of access to technology or fast, reliable internet access can prevent students from disadvantaged family. Even we do find some kind of problem when joining some kind of webinar series or online lectures in many times because we are not trained directly, but we are trying our best by ourselves to learn some of the technology. Even we know this technology, but many of us do not understand or we are not capable of harnessing the benefits that is given in a particular kind of platforms. Okay, so that kind of things is also applicable to students as well. So students from the disadvantaged family are even they take certain kinds of gadgets, but they do find some kind of difficulty in accessing online teaching, and even the parents cannot help them to in such situations, right? Because they are also do not know how to use these things, how to use this smartphone and all. So they are also failure. Maybe in urban area parents are more educated, parents do know many things about it, so they could help to their students if they get some kind of difficulty in accessing all these things, right? I will also share some of my practical experience which I have found during my class from one village that is called Gondahati, which is located very close to Parala Khemundi of Gajapati district. The students of all the students of that particular village, past 2 to 3 days they fail to join despite giving detailed link to them. Just click over it and then go to this. So all the process of the step we are given to them, despite that they are failed to access the facility. So even the delayed infrastructural development, bandwidth and personal computer penetrations, capacity to scale, these are the major challenges that still we do have. And if in short term, in single line, we can say India is having three major problems. That is connectivity in terms of both electricity and the IT or the internet connectivity. Second is accessibility, which varied. As you know, the Indian society is highly diverse, highly plural, highly unequal in terms of social, in terms of economic parameters. So there are haves of very few and there are have-nots of many. So this unequal or division, socio-economic or social and economic division in the Indian society also led to different kind of accessibility to different kind of online hardwares or softwares that it is being available for online classes. Third most important thing is the capability. As I have already shared with you, that many teachers, even when I was taking some classes on online teaching and developing e-content, I do find many of teachers, many in other colleges also, they do not have any kind of formal training on using certain kinds of platforms. So they just in simple Odia term we can say kamo chola choli jauche, but the thing is that they are not technically very much sound, and in many colleges in Odisha particularly do not have computer computer application center, right? Or say we can say MCA or BCA, like that kind of thing, which can help while doing some kind of things and do find some kind of problem. So there is nobody to help us out from such situations, right? So we do have capability to handle, but before doing some kind of training to the large mass of, and there are very few number of teachers do exist now in the higher educational institutions, because many departments do not have sufficient amount of teachers. Majority departments have only one or two teachers, and many of them are ad hoc or guest. And if you look at the guest, they are not employed till today. So how can you manage all these things? Such a diverse number of papers, such and so many activities in the institution itself. So it is very, very difficult for us. So if we look at again one of the major statistics, that around 73% users using mobile hotspot and very, very poor connectivity that they are experiencing. Now I had already mentioned that if we look at the stages of online teaching, where does our country falls, right? So if we look at, there are three major stages. The mostly developed countries are in the third stage, that is the from face-to-face learning to online education, such as just beginning of online class, and we are in that particular stage. We are just doing the online class, and even online class we are not satisfied with being a teacher, and because many times the connectivity problem comes, many times the student face some kind of problems. So even in the first stage we are not completely get benefit out of it in the first stage. Okay, so if then the second stage comes under the 100% course delivery through online platforms. Okay, and the final stage, which majority of the developed country now doing, is the complete delivery of course credit. That means they are being provided degree to online degree to the students. And now Government of India has also initiated certain things, such as large scale MOOCs, SWAYAMs, etc. They are also providing online certificate course regularly to the students. Now this is the graph that I have done from my field experience. These are the opinions from the students on various issues of online teaching. If you look at that, around 65% of students says connectivity issues. I have taken 100 samples. So out of which, more than 60% students says connectivity issues. That out of 10 or 15 classes has already been started from 13th July till today. So almost more than 13 classes or have attended by each and every class students. So among them, they said that they do find connectivity issue, right? Looking at the capability issue, I have asked certain platforms such as WebEx, for example, certain platforms like we have so many other platforms, but they said they are heard these things for the first time. Okay, they are just accessing the WhatsApp. Very few are accessing the email, and mostly they are using nowadays Google Meet. Okay, and Google Meet have certain facilities, but for certain subject it is difficult to use. For example, in mathematics, for example, while teaching in statistics, or we do actually, but in terms of that parameters, Zoom app was relatively handy, and we do find more we can say the user friendly to use this. But Google friend, many of my friends or colleagues, they do find difficult in using all these things. Now, lack of content available in regional, adequate content, as per the guideline of the governments, or that whatever the online materials do we find, such as those who have already developed, we can also use, or we can use the NCRT materials or certain things. I have asked certain question to these students, that do you find these whatever the materials we are supplying to you, is it adequate? Do you understand the materials completely which are being supplied to you? The student respond that many concept they are I do find some kind of doubts, and even if they have doubts, they are very scared to ask in the classes, because in offline classes they do find free time to ask their teachers. But maybe it is because of shyness of the student, or certain other factors, sociocultural factors play a big role, that students, maybe hardly one or two students, ask certain questions in while going online classes is going on, or after the online classes. But majority, their participation level is just a passive listener, not more than that. And lack of content available in a regional language, many students, they demanded almost more than 50% students, because we have to very much focus while doing certain things, that we should take the socio-cultural landscape, we should take into geographical landscape while formulating the policies and planning. If I will use the certain materials which is developed by certain lectures, or which is available in the internet, it may or may not be available, or it may or may not be completely understood by the students at that level, because culturally it varies. Okay, many students, they are bilingual in those regions, and they are multilingual, I can say, because it is very close to Andhra Pradesh, right? So they have Telugu knowledge, they have Odia knowledge somewhat, and they have very many students do have very poor in English. So they do find difficulty in understanding certain things, and even many times they are find difficult in getting some materials. Now, very few, almost 10% students says that even if the electricity connectivity is there, but they find frequent power cut in their own locality. Besides this, in terms of purchase of smartphone for online teaching, I have asked that did your parents, or did you sell any kind of asset of your family for purchasing smartphone and all. So out of the almost 20% students says they purchase smartphone for online teaching, particularly because they did not have smartphone before the COVID-19. But even in the lockdown, they find difficult. Many students, they could join after 1 month, because certain courses I have started very early. But many students said, some of the students said, because why you are not, because they are regular in class. So when they did not join in the class, so I become very tense. Why such a good students are not joining the classes? Then when they join in the first class, I ask them, why have you not joined in the previous classes? So they said, sir, we do not have smartphone for joining the classes. So many students now, they are purchasing, or they are forced to purchase the smartphone for online teaching. Even their parents do not have income for a long time. So such a financial crisis, to purchase a smartphone is a very very bad, very very stress to the family or the family head, right? So financial constraints they also find, because almost 200 to 250 rupees they are spending for purchasing data every month. And as you know, in such a crisis, economic crisis or the psychological crisis, we can say, every month 200 rupees, and for these parents also putting some kind of headache to them, particularly in rural area. Chances of dropout, I have also asked some of the students, do you think, or does your family members discuss about among themselves about your dropout, or they are not able to provide or afford your educational expenditure? So the student said, almost 7 to 8% said yes, they are going to drop out because they are facing financial crises. Even though they have some kind of data, but they are not regularly using it. Now, I also asked them about the certification of online teaching which is going on. So majority, around 12% students said they are satisfied with the content, they are satisfied with the online teaching, because many times even the class is going on in a very smooth manner, but there are continuous disruption or connectivity problems, as a result of which they are unable to understand the lecture completely. Because once you can't hear the previous point, you cannot understand the post subsequent sessions, right? We do also find the similar problems. So I again ask them, do you need any kind of online training, or some kind of training for using online platforms? So many students said yes, they need some kind of training, because they are not so smart, because they are not, geography matters in this particular things. Rural urban space matters. So even those who are purchased newly, they do find. And some other platforms like Webex, some other platforms like Zoom app and all other platforms are available, but they heard for the first time when I ask the questions. So next, if you look at the smartphone distributions, then only 8% students have their personal laptop. And laptop has its own benefit, smartphone have its own benefit, but only 8% students have personal laptop, that to be rich family. And 20% users use other phones, and other phones include the phone of father or brothers or relatives or sisters. Even I found some samples, they said that one phone is sharing both among themselves, because if a family have 3 to 4 children, then they are sharing the smartphone in between themselves, right? So in that particular situation, if subsequent classes is going on, someone has to forgone that class, otherwise it is not possible, right? So only 72% students, they said they have their own smartphone. So even this particular statistic is very very important to understand. about the to understand the online teaching or the nature of online teaching which is going on in a backward district like of a backward region of India. Now, looking at the satisfaction level with online and offline, as they are very much fascinated about the online platforms, but as they find difficulty in connectivity problems, so they are missing so many things of the online classes, and this is one of the major cause that only 12% of the students said they are happy with the online platforms, but majority do not. And even in the later subsequent part, I will ask certain teachers whether they are satisfied with the online platforms or not, what kind of problems they are facing while taking the classes. I have asked different subject teachers, and as you know, different subject require different level of uses of online teaching, right? Now, teachers' opinion survey I have conducted. I asked about their training. Majority said they do not get any kind of formal training on that during the COVID. Those certain some of the teachers they done, but they done through their own internal initiative. But massive scale of or robust training for teachers has not been done. Similarly, difficulty in teaching, yes, as they are not trained in proper way, so they do find sometimes difficult in taking classes in online platforms. Besides this, developing e-content is very, very crucial things, because when we are developing our own e-content, we definitely take into account our own background. But if someone else has prepared for a particular other geographical area of e-content, we are using it, then I do believe personally it will not fulfill the objectives of the students. As I have said, many students they demanded more than 50 students, 50% student demanded that they should at least get the regional language e-content. Even the government of Odisha has initiated this step, and assignment has already been given to many teachers from different colleges to develop e-content, but still they do find difficult in accessing or going through the content materials that is being provided. Besides the development of e-contents in a regional language, I also asked. They said actually students, particularly the humanities students, they do require the regional language e-content. Then I asked about the student participation, how the students participate or attended the classes, whether regularly or not. Majority of students, majority of teachers, they are saying hardly out of 32 students or hardly 5 to 10 students are joining. So we can say only 1/3 students are joining, and I do personally find, despite complete and continuous effort from my side, forming the group, sending the message, contact the parents, despite all efforts, only 5 to 6% or less than 10% students are participating in regular classes through online platforms. Besides this, participation in the discussions after the class or in between the class, for student performance through different kind of quizzes, different kinds of assignment, assessments are easily, but hardly 1 or 2 students can write and submit their report regularly, and all others do not practice all these things. Now, even the pedagogical aspect, how to integrate the pedagogical aspect with the online teaching platforms, many teachers do find difficult while transacting their knowledge to the students. And many teachers also said that they have some health and psychological issues, because if they continuously use 1 or 2 hours computers or any kind of digital platforms, they do find some kind of eyesight problem, eye pain or a headache, or you can say migraine problems and all these things. So they do find some kind of health issue in this kind of platform. So functional knowledge about digital platforms also, many people, they are, do not have much idea about all these platforms. Now, as I have said previously, that even these teachers do find connectivity, accessibility, and capability issue. Just a minute. Now, so even massive online courses and curricular for effective knowledge transfer. Government of India has initiated Swayam, UG, MOOCs, Pathshala, etc., NPTEL. So, despite all these things, we do have inequalities in our education system. As I have mentioned in the first part of my lecture, that we have many types of institutions and universities, colleges, and they are equipped with different level of IT infrastructure or different kind of capabilities of human resources are there. So they do have this inequality among within the system is very, very high. So this kind of if we look at the supply side and demand side kind of thing, then we do have problem with supply side, and we also do have problems with the demand side. Okay, so we have to take into account these two things when we are strictly implementing the things. So even the MHRD, with the help of many government and non-government organizations, they are formulating certain guidelines for the UGC also, which give due importance on the quick and quick implementation of they are providing a big push to online platforms. But this kind of inequalities will not fulfill the quality of higher education, which is one of the most important task or challenge that is we are trying to capture. But if the inequalities is so much high among the different kind of educational institutions, then it is very, very difficult to achieve the quality of education. And again, in offline platforms, for example, in Gajapati district, all the students are at least access the same kind of educational transaction or features from a teachers. But now within that backward regions, there are divisions of students. Okay, because many students, they are not capable of using, even many students have smartphone but do not have the data, so they can't access the online teaching. Many have so there are inequalities, and this creates further polarization within the society, which in short we can say it increases the inequalities within the society. So digital divide increases the knowledge gap between have and have nots, or between rural and urban, between male and female, between the different social group or social strata. So by and large, e-resources and ineffective delivery of courses, we do find in the current scenario. So I just wind up with these slides. So as let me summarize the things which I have discussed. That create these online platforms created digital divide in terms of inequality in access to smartphone, computers, etc. We do have lack of pedagogic practice through online mode, because even the teachers know the pedagogical aspect, but how to integrate the pedagogical aspect with the online platforms is many teachers are fail in this particular situation, as a result of which the purpose of transacting lessons is very much difficult, or it cannot fulfill all the objectives for which the lesson is being taught. So government policies also overlook the heterogeneous socio-economic and cultural landscape. It is one type of policies are being implemented throughout the length and breadth of the country without looking at the socio-economic and the social dimension of the societies, or the share of different kind of social groups or the religious group that we do find in Indian society. It also overlooked the heterogeneous landscape of Indian higher education system, because within the Indian higher education system there is a highly inequality exists in terms of IT infrastructure, in terms of human resources, in terms of other things that is being practiced within the educational system or the educational institutions, right? Similarly, limited informations are being available about the use of internet or how to access the major educational resources. Underprivileged students particularly get further marginalized due to non-participation in online platforms, due to lack of phones or data, etc. In a very long time, parents do not have income. Low space of students of socio-economically backward communities, physically differently abled women are mostly severely affected by the virtual platforms in this backward regions. Very few students know about the Zoom, WebEx, and all other platforms to use for online teaching and learning processes. Most of the students, they are very much familiar with the asynchronous platforms such as Google Meets, WhatsApp, and email. We do not face to face, in many cases we just share certain kinds of materials through WhatsApp or through mail. And many subject teachers, as the blackboard option is not directly available in Google Meet, so certain subjects such as statistics, such as mathematics, or those who require a frequent use of blackboard do find difficulty in giving lectures to the young minds. And finally, in this dimensions, we have to very much focused that as we do not have other options, we have this online platform, so we have to strengthen it. But we have to shift it from the emergency remote teaching to effective online teaching. We are just doing the emergency remote teaching, nothing more than that. Just providing the materials or convert the online material, convert the lectures to PDF, or giving some kind of YouTube video to the students will not fulfill the objectives, because if they are capable of doing all the things, then they could get so many benefits out of it from very long time. So need to address power supply issue or the power backup while online teaching, because many departments do not have even systems. Many departments do not have power backup or power supply. So how can a teacher is going to take the class in such a situations? Or if there is a disconnectivity is there frequently in rural area particularly, how these students can get connected with online platforms for online teaching and learning processes. Now we have to strengthen the high speed internet. As the consumer is very high. As I have already mentioned, we are the second largest consumer of internet in after China. But despite that, the speed of internet is very low, and that affects the online transaction of teaching and learning. So shifting in mindset also being required. Okay, many teachers or many students are also said that they are not satisfied. Okay, fine, but we have to do collective efforts to bring some kind of along with and government, non-government organizations through the public-private partnerships should work on these platforms, because India has a very vast market size, or potentially very vast market size for online educations in upcoming days. So if they strengthen the high-speed internet connectivity, so many things will be solved. Robust training for faculty is needed so that they can take the effective classes regularly, provide some kind of assignment in a very systematic manner. That is also necessary for network connectivity through DTH or the cable, or we can say broadband connectivity should be there. And the collaboration is highly essential, because we all kind of educational institutions, whether it is a top level or the bottom level, everybody or every institution do find similar kind of problem, but maybe the gravity of the problem may differs, but they face similar kind of problems. So they should work together, they should provide the resources together in the greater interest of the nations, because so that even in a very difficult area or the remote area, students can get benefit out of it. And the improve infrastructure and provide service at low cost is very, very essential, because financial condition of many students are not good, and parents are remain unemployed for a long time. That definitely affect the accessibility of the students, because many students do not purchase regularly this data. Similarly, remote areas need to be addressed when we are designing or developing certain policy and program. Certain kind of incentive must be given to this remote area, so that they can get some benefit of this online platforms, online teaching. Socio-economic and cultural background must be focused, because without these it will not provide incentive to the marginalized communities, such as providing certain kinds of gadgets, certain kinds of net facilities. Maybe they can may not leave the education before completion, or we will not experiencing a massive kind of dropout in higher educational institutions. So we should also have the plan for at institutional level, at teachers point of view as well as student point of view, for the greater success of online teaching in India. So thank you very much. So with this I stop my presentation. So now I hand over this platform to the chair. The question answer sessions maybe we will discuss after the two discuss and complete their talk. Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Balochan, for your wonderful presentation. It was indeed very, very, thought-provoking and based on real data you have collected. So now I would like to ask Joydev, if he's there, he could put some thoughts what Balochan already discussed. So Joydev, are you there?
Yes.
Sorry.
I think Dhiren bhai will go first, then I'll go second.
Okay, you want to go second? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll go second.
Dhiren?
Yes.
Please come in and give your thoughts on Balochan's presentation.
Okay. Thank you, Bikasji. Balochan, with its marathon talk, he has already, with its socio-geographic perspective and quantitative data analysis, has already given the myriad and messy picture of Indian higher education. So he talked about the diversities of higher education institutions. So with institution, we may add the diversities. Why these diversities? Because of diversities exist in our society. The Indian diversity and diverse educational needs, therefore, our diverse educational ideals that we are confronting, therefore, the problems are immense. So diversity in terms of socio-economic condition, diversities of region, accessibility to of periphery to center cities, the diversities of rural and urban things, and the diversities the way entitlements are distributed. So with pandemic, all students are now dispersed from the metropolis, the main center, there's college and university, they are now in their remote places. Therefore, they're living in diverse ways. So, and linguistic diversity, many other problems that we must add into that. And then he talked also about the status of ITC. So 1986, so with the new higher education policy, so we added ITC into our education transaction, but ITC was just something meant to facilitate so human learning. We never normalize ITC, but we try to facilitate, develop, and improvise the thing. So, and he flagged different issues, how despite of the biggest in terms of number higher educational market and higher educational institutions, huge students after China. So we have a lot of problems in terms of access to gadget and computer and the problem of digital literacy. So therefore, poetry provided a kind of real as well as a very dismal, pessimistic picture what will happen after this pandemic situation has, we are confronting with this, situation. So why you are saying, is bothered as a teacher, somebody, a citizen who thinks about the future of a nation, future of our students, fellow citizens. So he's bothered. No doubt, all that we're discussing here today, there are thousands, webinars who are discussing the status of online learning. So in the wake of COVID things, I'm sure the UGC, IIT, CBSE, NCERT, MHRD, all state, education ministry, they must be discussing. So they are coming with a lot of circular and different kind of changing in norms, rule, and putting us a lot of mess. And that too we are also sure. But why we really discussing is understanding the problem. We cannot normalize. So like this kind of catastrophe or pandemic, or epidemic. So this epidemic has brought us into a different situation. We'll rethink a lot of ways to relive our life in different ways. So a lot of things will be in our life normal. And there is so a lot of things will take for granted as normal. We have already made social, from physical distancing, we have used this word social distancing. Otherwise, in normal time, it is a very casteist and Brahminical metaphor. So, a lot of things will normalize, but how far will normalize this online learning? What will be the implication for those who will get marginalized, those who will not get this online thing? So, as part of their right to schooling, right to education, secondary, senior secondary, university education, what will happen to them? We are really bothered about this. That's why we are discussing this. And the essential point Boyluson problematized is this, and the kind of solution as a social geographer he suggested as somebody who thinks deeply on this issue, so is debatable and can be confronted in different ways as teachers. We are also evolving how to equip and improve things so that this transitory phase is gone. But I'm really afraid whether this transitory phase will be normalized in life. If it is normalized, online conditions become normalized for everyone, 1.3 billion, people, and large mass of students in India. So I'm afraid a lot of people will be marginalized, and the capability, so or the freedom to development, so will be a lot of setback. So therefore, it is important to think about this issue from the perspective of higher education. Why we make sure in meantime, so that we need to take care about all these things, so that no one is left, no one is marginalized in this period. We know, so we cannot make it normalized for many regions. The market might be smelling a lot of blood and flesh with this kind of online market of education and big money, But in reality, many leaders, they have accepted. So for a temporary management, it's fine. For supplement, it's fine, but it cannot go on everyday basis, 24/7 for years to come. So I'll just problematize, and I'll give it to Joydev to discuss, and I'll problematize from my perspective where I am located. So as a teacher in a university which is located in Delhi University, with its more than 75 constituent colleges, it's diverse. It's diverse in terms of students who come. It's a pan-Indian university in the sense students come from all the regions of India, so with different languages and diversities. Now with this pandemic, all are there at home. We are also facing a lot of problems. So violations problem, the gravity of problem is high, and our problem nonetheless is also equally higher. And I don't know about the teachers in other part of India, but teachers in Delhi, they are struggling and they are therefore protesting. So and fighting with the university and the administrations not to normalize, to rethink online education, to think about students who will get marginalized. So we have now 80 crore, new poor. So with these conditions, so and a regressive status of Indian population in that context, online life, online learning, the cost of online learning basically. So apart from other technical problems of accessibility, data quality, so quality of spectrum, quality of network, so universalization of mobile, so universalization of laptop, for example. So apart from that, so we'll discuss this issue so that we'll understand so the gravity of the issue and we'll handle so this crisis situation more humanly, so more justly, more than humanly, more justly, more empathetically, to rethink students' life, students' future, modes of evaluation, teaching, learning, so that they are not a loser in future. So those who will get and those who will get marginalized, it's a fact. Even in our webinar, each 30 second or 1 minute, one is logging and one is leaving. So it's a continuous, hide and seek. Now Subhadra Priyadarshini is late, for example. So we have to rethink so that nobody is a loser. So a lot of onus is on us. We might ask about our need, what we need actually from our government and from our policymakers. And a lot of onus is on also the government to empathetically think the gravity of the issue, the real problem each citizen student faces, not citizen consumers. Student citizens, not student consumers. So things. Why higher education? We need to think in terms of right. Now the days are gone. Schooling was a right. Higher secondary was a right. Now higher education must be a right, because from the perspective of right, the 21st century characterized by its own complexity. For to live a life, dignified life, schooling is not sufficient, or a primary certain minimal skill is not efficient. So higher secondary is not enough. The days are gone. So even graduation is not enough. So we are thinking of normalizing post-graduation and other higher skill education. So of engineering and science, technology, other thing. That's why. So the world is rapidly, aggressively, militaristically moving towards massification, if not universalization of higher education. So the European and American countries and other countries who are very much ahead than us, because their massification began after just post Second World War period. So that's why there was, for example, Nehru's tryst with destiny was under pressure. So he had to rethink our education ideal in terms of higher education. So agricultural universities, IITs, university commission, establishing universities and all other things apart from needs. There was a global pressure. But we realized the gravity of the issue in 1986 policy. Therefore, we rethought and to align higher education with IT. So, different reality, we're talking industrialization 4.0, so artificial intelligence, productivity, so manufacturing and, demand, other things we're talking about. And simultaneously, we have a lot of hands, so whom we just can't afford with no skill or smaller skills. And we want them to upgrade skills, and we cannot do without assuring them their right to higher education institution, a dignified higher education institutions. Very unlikely the quality of engineering colleges like, mushrooming in Bhubaneswar. And Papu, in Odia comedy, he has shown the plight of, I'm empathetic about those engineering students who, despite the fact, spend a lot of money, but got, very low quality of education because of their, compulsion. So therefore, higher education, quality higher education, and to think higher education in India is a difficult question altogether, because it's a difficult, subcontinent with diversities and problems. So we cannot think of India in the face of America or half of America or majority of European countries, because their, for example, movement began 2050 years back. That's why they could assure some kind of dignity, quality of life, or the middle class as an aspiration or an average. We are lowest middle class and poor country. For example, today's data will tell you 80 crore Indians now become poor with this kind of situations. Therefore, our priorities should be different because our needs are different. So our contexts are different. So our histories are different. And the way we are being treated by the state or by our policymakers or by our institutions are different history. We must understand that. So therefore, in 2020, higher education is core of our future capability. And capability I have used in Amartya sense. Without that, so you cannot think of a dignified life. You will be totally paralyzed. And that has happened. So therefore, higher education is just, close to a kind of right in a complex, diversified, technologized society which demands different kind of life skill altogether. Therefore, as part of survival strategy, higher education is necessary, and a society of a different kind. So we demand from the state, because we are a welfare state. We have not declared yet. So like China and others, we still declare, we cherish our constitutional things. The day we'll declare, India as a different country, that will be a different thing. Still, we cherish ourselves as a welfare, country. Therefore, higher education becomes a different kind of necessity. In this condition, this pandemic has brought us into a complex situation, and we must discuss and understand this, everyone. By understanding this, So you can, so those who want to understand, they're idealistic, but to use Marxist faiths, so philosophers have, tried to interpret the world, understand the world, however, to change it. So there is an aspiration of change. Therefore, all that boy Luton has already discussed, the problems of access. So those who cannot afford the cost of this online education, problems of gadgets, whether you can universalize data, so good network, internet quality in remote areas, and simultaneously how much time we can provide for online skill learning, and skill learning cannot so substitute, for example, physical learning. It has own consequences. It has its relation to mental health, so to eye, so your condition, your levels of frustrations, your also capability for learning. So therefore, this kind of situation should not be a technical problem. Anyhow, we must overcome. We must rethink judiciously and think about all the stakeholders in education. So we'll also think about economy. We'll also think about the rights of the citizens. We'll think about teachers, think about infrastructure, the state of colleges, the state of diversities, and simultaneously the quality. So, because after all, this quality upgradation we're talking about, without quality, our education will archive of mere degrees so in our files, and it will be useless. So one need to think beyond this uselessness, so think so that we can overcome this but not normalize. And all of us, we must cautiously so take this condition into account, and this online learning. We should not go by these technological conservatives who who normalize everything in terms of technocracy or technopoly. So technology has its own limitation, but its advantages also. So therefore, let's humanize technology and not technologize human beings. So there is a difference between humanized technology and technologize humans. When we begin to worship technology as the idol, then all that great fiction, Hollywood blockbusters will be our reality waiting for us. So then there will be no difference between fiction and reality, and what is given in the movies, so and what will be our reality. So everything will block. Let's must our this. So all that we are discussing, Boyluchon, from a socio-geographical perspective and quantitative data analysis, me from a social science perspective has its own limitation. Nevertheless, so we'll overcome by understanding this. I know many of my friends who in private agencies, who are in bureaucracy, managing administrations, governance. So those were in academic bureaucracy. So those in grassroots, so they have deep ways of looking at it, but we have. So in Delhi University, when last 5 months we have been facing these problems, and that has been an issue. Now it is in court. We're not sure about other part of India, but Delhi is very vibrant when it in terms of students' right and what will happen to online kind of thing. So therefore, Delhi University students are fighting with the university, and the case is pending again and again, is going to High Court and at times Supreme Court. The irony, I'll end with this irony. So when the lawyer advocating for online open education on behalf of due, so he faced this problem. His laptop crashed, and he said, "Milord," to Delhi High Court, "my laptop crashed." So and
conclude.
Yes. So, and reply comes, this is the issue we are flagging actually. So there is problems, we must discuss these problems. Thanks.
Thank you, Dhirenji, for your brainstorming, discussion. So now, Jaydev, please keep it a bit short because time is also short with all of us. So give your just comments and brief discussions what the Boylochan has already explained and also your some point of view. Jaydev, please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I think before starting my lecture, I like to give an example of three political theories. Right, one is Thomas Hobbes, one is John Locke, and one is Rousseau. Right, and their way of looking at society and talking about social contract and the state of nature. Right, so. Why I gave this example because I'm taking on my experience or my association with Amity University of Uttar Pradesh last 1 year and how as a private entity or a private university we are accepting this new normal. I don't say this is a problem. This is a new normal. Right. Since March 12, this year, March 16 or 17, we adopted remote class. Right, so successfully we adopted remote class, and since then we completed our sessions. Then we completed our summer semester, and I think by June end and by July second week, we finished our end sem exam for all the batches, the outgoing batches, right, with open book system, with the help of this technology. And I think since July 15. July 13 onwards, we started our new sessions through online mode. So actually, there is a challenge that all are discussing. The challenge are also students also face in terms of connectivity. But as a teacher, we should also think about how we can deliver the goal that we have assigned to, right? Deliver the knowledge to the students. Right. So that means instead of problematizing this particular situation, we should accept it as a new normal and should cope up with the challenge. And I think most of the universities and the colleges are there. I think they can come up with such kind of ideas. I think we have enough budget if we can think of to do that. Because for the example, Google and Zoom, they're already giving free services. Right. So in that scenario, we can enhance our teachers' capabilities, tell them to take the classes online. I think there is on the teacher. I think in my university when we started lecture online remote lectures in 17 March onwards, I think 15 or 16 we had a faculty development program how to run this particular software called Microsoft Teams. I think that kind of arrangement colleges can be made across the India to deliver the lecture. And open book system, I think they can do it. I think there's a particular example I would like to give from Delhi University. They offer a particular course on conflict management. And I think they have done successfully the open book system. So instead of problematizing this particular scenario, we should accept the new normal and try to help the student and try to change the scenario, because under this, why I call it new normal, because this normality may change very soon. I think we may by end of this year or maybe next year we may not have the same COVID norms, right? So the new normal, we have to accept it and we have to think about the student interest. And with this I like to conclude, and I'll not say anymore because the time is running out of our hand. Thank you.
Thank you, Jaydev. Hit Boylochan, Professor Boylochan sir is there. Please take the questions and answer all the sessions. And before that, if any of our friends want to speak something, like Sibhai is there, Deepak is there, Joyram is there. If anyone want to come in and give their comments, are also welcome. Boylochan sir, are you there?
Professor Behera, you're not audible. Please come closer to the mic.
Please use your, I think, your
headphone. Yes.
Yes.
Is my voice audible?
Yes.
Yes,
Hello?
yes.
Okay.
So please take the questions from the chat box and please answer one by one if you are able to read all the questions. Otherwise, Jaydev and we are there to help you out if any kind of help you need.
Okay. Okay, thank you Vikas bhai, and thank you Joydev and Dhiren for incorporating certain dimension which I have not covered, and it's really a wonderful side of looking at how one private university deal with this situation, how one of the premier institute of central government, I think at Delhi, how they deal with it, and one college which is located in a very geographically deprived area, how it runs online teaching for in such a situation. Okay, let us discuss some of the question that is being raised by our attendant. So first of all, I think Dhiren Sahu asked one question where students can perform science experiment online. Yes, there are options that is called simulation platforms through which they can do, but they can get some idea, but the reality is reality, and simulation situation is a simulation kind of thing. Okay, so certain sciences which do require frequently lab practical sessions, for example zoology, for example physics, for example botany, etc. They do find difficulty in such situations, but there are platforms available online. But I have not gone into detail of these things, but I just, when I share my thought in a platforms, at that time I found that one platform is available, or there are many platforms might be available, but simulation platform is also there which can be used for the practical purposes. Now if we look at Dr. Swai has asked one question, what about the health hazards associated with online classes? Yes, there are health hazards, like if you sit for a long time, then definitely you might have experience before internet, you find difficulty in your eyesight, maybe your eye get pain, headache or migraines, because I have not just saying arbitrarily, rather these are the opinion which are given by the faculty, those who are taking the regular classes through online mode. Now as you are a professor of statistics, it's very difficult to take classes in these platforms, because frequently you do require blackboard, and it is very difficult to explain theoretically the most practical subject like mathematics and statistics. Bhagya had asked one question online.
Mr. Behera, I have a question before you go to Dr. Shetty's question. The question that I have is, how do you see this age gap between faculties? Because if you're looking at that particular perspective across the India, I find one interesting fact, that those are young faculties, they're more adaptable to use new technologies, right? Or accepting this remote version, or accepting this new normal. But when you're talking about the old faculties, they are facing the challenges of using this particular platform. So do you think that we need do you think that we need some kind of changes in that structure?
Yes, you are absolutely right. We do find this kind of thing. Those who are the young faculty, those who are recruited maybe 5 years, 10 years back to the situations, they are more fluent in using different kinds of online platforms. Even we are not giving proper training to them, they are self-sufficient of using those things. But many senior most faculty, as they are not so much equipped with such platforms, they do find difficulty, but they are also trying their level best to use all these things. But basic option or the basic points that are available in the platforms for taking the classes, but higher order benefits from a particular point to get is really difficult. You are absolutely right on that point. There is a absolutely age gap in terms of using the accessibility is maybe possible, but using these things will be definitely a difference will be found.
Professor Behera, one more question on your camera actually, because you are the main speaker, we all are listening to you.
Sorry. Okay, so
Professor, just linking to that particular question, that means the survey that you have done, that how many students have access to technology. So I think similar surveys need to be done in tier 2 or tier 3 cities, or even the rural belt of the city of the India, that how many teachers actually have access to such technology like laptop and mobile smartphones and other things, and how they are finding it in other ways.
So most of the teachers, even most of the teachers, I am saying, they do not. Maybe the senior faculty may have or may not have laptops, but most of them are using smartphone for taking the classes. And as I have said, many departments do not have laptops or certain kinds of desktop for taking online classes. Even certain department have desktop, but if you don't have webcam and other infrastructural facilities, so it will become very difficult. And one of the most important thing is the network, right? So if it is not being provided to the each and every departments more quickly, so government should take the initiative that every department, whether it is a language or any other department, must have these systems, because as we do not know when this event is going to end in this particular phase. So every department should access at least one system and other basic facilities along with the internet connectivity, so that they can have the uninterrupted form of online teaching, at least from the supply side. Looking at the demand side, I will address, because someone has asked these questions. At that time, I will deal with the demand side part of the questions. So may I proceed? Yes.
Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you, Professor. Yes.
Okay. So if we look at the question of Bhagya, online courses are generally not as effective as in personal classes, but they are certainly better than no classes. Yes, definitely. Oriare gote kotha achi nai mamu tu na kona mamu bhalo, right? So anything is better than nothing. So in that perspective, we know, but this can be improved. Otherwise, whatever we are doing, education is not like that. Education is not like that. Just give a bit of certain things. Education, you need to understand the contextual or the entire structure of certain things where you are understanding certain concept. Okay, suppose a bit of things you are get access to it and the other part remain left, then definitely it has a very low utility, or it has an adverse implication in whatever things you are going to do, right? So according to situation, the online and offline electronic shop are also increasing prices, and laptops and Android phones. Yes, I do find from some of the students, those who are purchased new smartphone recently, they said that the prices has gone up in this lockdown period, and even the online supply of certain things are not available. And they also change the policy of paying money. Earlier they have the option that anyone can take and they can pay later, but this kind of option is not available in few days ago. Maybe certain things have changed right now. Now the question is, do you think there should be some rules and guidelines from the government taken place? Yes, government has taken some guidelines, some rules, but the point is, government of India, government of Odisha is providing laptops, some meritorious students, no doubt. But government should also, can do, so one of my presenter has just said that I think Jaidev has said we do not have, issue with investment in education sector. We can provide some students who are really need some basic, gadgets such as smartphone, and we do provide some kind of subsidy in internet access, so that they can get right from the dropout from the higher educational institution before completion of it. As I have said, there are very few percentage of our total youth are enrolled in higher education system, and if this will lead to further removal of the students from the higher education institution, is definitely reduce the enrollment and it will have the socio-economic impact in upcoming future, because we do not produce the more capable citizens in near future. Now, how can I make my online teaching more effectively? Yes, you can make your teaching. There are pedagogical aspect. There are other aspect also. I am just share my experience. You can make your teaching more effective. That as it is not like offline classes, and you are just attracting the attention of the students. The gesture and the posture of the teachers is very important, as you are not able to do in online platforms. And online platforms, you are also not making certain kinds of jokes to attract the attention of the students. So if you continue your lecture for a longer period of time, it will definitely among the learners. So you break your lecture into a small part and you share with it. Then your lecture talk will be definitely interesting or effective, because our mind is not concentrate for a longer period of time in a particular talk, I can say. So the third question is, what is your opinion to the students, those who are making no relevant questions during class? In this perspective, I can say yes, there are many types of students. Certain students, they are directly hit the topic that you have taught. There are certain students, they are not asking the relevant questions, they are asking the irrelevant questions. But being a teacher, it is also our duty to guide them. And if we know about the answer of this question, we can give it, we can answer them. But the last part, I think you have asked that there are some, we will discuss later on the other aspect of these things. But yes, if you know, you can answer. If it is not accepted, certain questions are not expected, you just tell the students that don't ask such type of questions while certain kinds of lecture is going on. And I think I find some questions which is being raised, that if some boy student ask about a certain girl student, so in that particular matter, you have created a WhatsApp group and you just instruct them that this group is purely for academic purpose. It is not, why someone is not picking up the phones, it is none of your business, it is none of my business. So you just inform them that this kind of question cannot be tolerated, or if such things are going on, then definitely you should report to the principal or the authority and take the action against that particular candidate. Okay. Now, I think Sib Bhai has asked hybrid schools and blended learning. Yes, so nowadays purely, there are heat debate, hot debate is going on about the online teaching. Certain educationists, certain consultants, certain policymakers, they are saying yes, online teaching is very much essential in the present context, in even upcoming time. But there are certain purely online teaching, and there are certain group of scholars, they are giving more priority on hybrid schools and blended learning, because nowadays we cannot go for traditional mode of teaching. We must include the virtual platform for making our lecture, making our presentation more effective. And when we are integrated IT in our teaching learning process, it will reduces our human labor. It will also save the time. It will also make the teaching learning process more effective. And same time, we can also keep the record online. Whenever we do want, we can find even in anywhere, any place and any time. So in this present context and in the future also, we should integrated both the things. We should not leave one from the others, because if we leave the offline teaching, then I can say human development does not mean the intellectual development. It also includes the social, physical, emotional and psychological development of an individual. So in order to develop all the parameters beyond this, intellectual development, we need to have personal interaction with the students. And for that reason, it is essential of having offline classes. I can say you are taking classes from long time. You have a very good interpersonal relation in offline classes, but I have a just a query. Do you find any kind of such kind of relations has built up in the online platform? No, we have a very physical space is needed to grow the socio-personal relationship, and for that reason, offline classes is also equally important. So we cannot replace offline classes by taking the online, or we should not, leave the online classes and we continue the offline classes today or in near future. So we have to blended both the things. Now, apex educational bodies in India like NCERT and CBSE have announced their intention of implementing hybrid system of schooling with blended learning post lockdown. Hello.
Is a comment.
Sorry.
That is the comment. I think.
Your voice is breakable, so I am not able to completely hear your voice. So can you write in the chat box, please? Yes.
Okay.
So can I proceed or I wait for the question? Yeah. I'm asking the chat. Okay. So how you see these above things in a society with cracked mirror? Okay. Say as I have partly already said that our society, and in my lecture also I also conclude that we have to change our mindset, and we have to prepare ourselves for online platform, and we should be equipped ourselves, and we also encourage other persons, other students, other parents. It is also our duty to encourage them for these things, because many parents I do find they are not in favor of giving mobiles or internet access to certain members, such as for example girls, we can say. That is why there is a male-female gap in the rural India or rural Odisha, you can say. Okay, so we have to convince them, and as the upcoming time, the future demands the knowledge of IT. Without the knowledge of IT, you also being treated, whatever your education level may be, like illiterate, because without digital literacy we can't do even very minimum things in our day-to-day life. So for that reason, we have to encourage others to be open their mind and accept the new form of education system, and it is the only way out for all of us. Now if we look at next practical, that is Sumitra said practical reasoning is a fundamental competency required for everyday decision making as well as for the production of scientific knowledge. Practical is performed by the students such that they are enabled to understand how scientific knowledge is produced, how they may be better able to contribute to improve scientific productions. Basically, students have to perform 30% of the practical classes as well as 70 theory classes. So here the question arises, how the student will perform practical classes through online. Okay, as I have someone has already asked about this. Many subjects has a different nature. So certain subjects they do not have practical, so we can use any kind of platform for taking classes. But for science subject, with having some practicals, we need to have some other platforms such as simulation platforms. I have said we can use it for practical purposes, but even I said that even if we are using this, but these are simulations, these are not real, and the real things has a real problem, and simulation has a simulation kind of thing. Even in my B.Ed training program, we have a simulation classes where we are supposed to teach our friends, and we have to suppose that they are the students, but real student is different from our friends, right? So from that perspective, I can say we can learn certain things through practical, but practical has its own beauty in the real laboratory. which cannot be done in a virtual platforms in a 100% manner. So whatever the things we will have, we should proceed slowly, and whenever we will get chance, we will jump to the real practical classes. Then definitely we will relate whatever the theoretical background we have. Now we have to apply it in the real practical situations, which can be solved in a very short period of time whenever we will get quick get over to this COVID-19. Now, because he asked the same question from my side, then Tanusri asked why government educational institutions are far behind on providing quality education as well as student perform in every sphere comparing private educational institutions, as government spending more and more money and employed highly qualified and highly educated teaching professional government institutions. Okay, so Tanusri, I am giving some structural things that you need to understand about why there is a difference in the quality of educations between the government and the private. See, if you look at the Delhi statistic, Delhi government school perform much better. They cross the result of private educational institutions. Your question is very valid because most of the qualified faculties are there in government educational institutions. Government also invest much on government educational institutions. So whatever the things is going on in the government sectors, it is a centralized kind of planning. Okay, so centralized kind of planning means it is planning for all the educational institutions which are located across the state. It is not prepare plan for a particular institutions, number one. Number two, the teachers after getting retired or transformed from one government educational institution to others, there is no quick replacement of the teachers, and without human resources, the quality of teaching, whatever the infrastructure level you have, it doesn't matter. But if you do not have the qualified and qualitative teachers in the educational institutions, you do not get quality of educations in schools. If you look at, I heard from my seniors, okay, they said when they joined before 27 years, each department has more than 10 to 15 faculty. Now I am saying in my department we are the two, and our principal sir, who is taking all the responsibility of the college as well as he is taking the classes, but he is going to retire very soon. So I am the only persons who will take +2 to graduations all the papers, and no guest faculty is there. How can the students expect a good result? It is impossible. Beside this, we have lot of additional duties in the colleges. Beside, we have other duties such as election duties and all, right? So in that particular matter, we have a lot of tasks. Even we are qualified, we are well trained. Despite that, we get very minimum time to give. Second point. Third point, being a teacher, I am specialized in certain subject. I am not the master of all the papers that is being taught in the graduation level, right? But because of compulsion, nobody is there. It is my moral responsibility. Even though government is not pressurized me to finish all the courses, but my morality or my moral ground compel me to take all the classes. Even I am taking in the Sunday, even I take a Saturday. So there is no holiday in my calendar. That is why I am able to, or our principal sir, for example, he is also not taking any day as a holiday, and constantly throughout the year we are teaching. So fortunately, in the lockdown period, I have finished almost 3 to 4 papers of the third year as well as second year, and now we are giving much priority to council +2 students. Okay, so in that situation, and it is applicable throughout the colleges of our country. Even in Delhi University, many posts are vacant, but in a private setup, you can suddenly replace because the private the parents immediately ask if the classes is not done in a proper way. If the faculty is not done, definitely they will raise the questions, right? But in many government colleges, even many universities department do not have sufficient staffs. Then how can we think, say for example, if we ask about the statistic department of Utkal University or other department, where there are a large number of vacancies are there. So how can we expect the quality of education in such a very limited human resources? And human resources, whatever the human resources are also there, our educational structure is such that we need frequent training, because every time there is a changing of new concept. Okay, new concept are coming in the educational setup, but our mind setup is such that the faculties are not allowed to go to participate in different kind of programs, right? And again, we should have many times refresher course, orientation course, and it should be flexible one, so that they get updated, because whatever the knowledge I get in during my masters, it need to be reshaped through different orientation program, through research program, through other things. So in that perspective, many, it is not the story of mine, but it is the story of I think almost all the young faculty or the faculty, those who have joined in different colleges. So that is why we have a very poor result. So the thing is that whatever maybe 2-3 candidates come out, they are the good one, but in larger scale we do find very low result or poor result. Okay.
So in this context, I have a question, Walochan. So you spoke about the lack of faculties in the government institutions,
Yes.
right? So doesn't then online education help in this regard? Because now you cannot hire full-time faculties very easily for varied reasons. Can you then not leverage the online mode of education by engaging faculty from other institutions, other universities, from other places? Faculties may not be physically present in that university or college, but they can teach remotely, right, from wherever they are. In fact, you can also have adjunct faculties from the industry or from the government, right? Some people with PhD in geography or sociology or economics, they may be working as IAS or OS officer or maybe a manager in a company, but in their part time they can also teach, and it's also very cost effective, right? Because you do not have to pay a full time salary to the faculty. Just with a few thousand rupees, you can make use of them.
Yes. So you are absolutely right, Vishwajit. We can, bridge, the gap in terms of quality of educations that we do often find between, different geographical space within a country or across the countries of the world. So it can definitely minimize the kind of problem that we have in terms of quality of education. Someone from Oxford can take the classes, and this class can be, anybody can participate. But the point is that the person who is taking from Oxford, he designed the lesson, he designed the course as per the standard of the students who are studying in Oxford or Harvard or the Cambridge University, right? But does he, take into account the standard of sociocultural background of the students who are, saying, for example, in Kalahandi or in, say, Gajapati or some, deprived region of our country, right? So how far we do have, so many online courses are available, so many books are available. Those are written by the very eminent professors. But does our student, do our students have that level of intellectual or language proficiency to understand, this lecture?
It need not be Oxford. It need not be Oxford. But what I'm saying is that someone from Ravensa or BJB or Ramadevi College can take a lecture of from this this local colleges, right, in subdivisions or in blocks that we have. Right.
Yes, definitely. So it will. Yes. Definitely.
For example, Deepak Das or Vikas Bhai, they are economists. They're trained economists, but they're wasting their time in government. I'm sorry to call it, right? So they can also teach part time, right? To our very intelligent students. And by the way, let's not underestimate the quality of students in our colleges. The best thing about India is that the students are very talented. Even in the very low grade colleges, the students are good actually.
Actually, no, I am not putting.
Yes. In addition to Biswajit's question, I think one thing you have highlighted, that is inequality part. Like, you are always speaking about how that inequality is a problem in accessing to online education. But one point I am trying to just make, see, like, I find one point very important for all of us, given the radio and television access in rural area, right?
Right. Yes.
So in television, that I think initiative has already taken, that we need to popularize the channels for higher education from graduate and undergraduate level. So it will reduce the cost of education. Like, I don't need to buy a laptop always to learn something from you or from teachers. So if I know that in a certain point of time this channel is going to teach me this subject, so even three family members are there in different classes, they can also learn different aspects at different time. So like one smartphone kind of problem will not be there.
Right.
So why not we focusing how to reduce that cost of online education also? That access, we have to see what accessibility we have. We have the accessibility of radio. Radio has been a great source of learning from the when internet was not there. Television, everybody is wasting their time using Sasu Bahu channel and many things, right? So why can't we leverage on that, and why we focusing on smartphone and laptops? Because smartphones and laptops are really very costly, instruments or costly devices. So, and what will happen even in the TV and radio channel? You could, as Pani said, you could ask very proficient lecturers or the people who have a language by which the rural area people can also understand, and bilingual can also be taught. So I think in this time the cost of everything is very, very important from economics point of view. So I think in your lecture, yes.
So one point here. So 30 years back, I think 25-30 years back, when television was being popularized, it was sent to each village, right? And there was, I don't know whether you guys, well, some people of my age may not know this, but actually people from the previous generation will know that television used to be popularized through a government initiative to send televisions to each and every village, right? And then people used to gather to watch television. So in every panchayat, if you can have a sort of laptop and a projector and a room where students can sit and basically watch what is being broadcasted over the news channels or whatever channel.
Yes. I think television monitor itself is a very good device for everybody, and the rural penetration of television has increased like anything.
Right.
So, and it doesn't need also internet connectivity. It will run on DTH.
Right.
Yeah, but so also these days TVs are smart, right? These days TVs are smart, so you can also connect your your smartphone to TVs to watch something, right? So I think it works both ways. It will be a very good. It will be a very good initiative if the government actually does that.
Right. Okay. So
I think recently, Balochan, as Vikas and Biswajit both were suggesting regarding this television platform. I think under this Atmanirbhar Bharat package, when they announced this package, MHRD has given similar provision. That they have dedicated one channel for one class. So that people can watch television, that channel, and they can access this.
Right. It has already, government has already taken the initiative.
Yes, but I want to say that needs to be popularized. We are focusing more on smartphone and laptop.
Right. May I address whatever you have been raised?
Yes, please.
Okay. Now, Biswajit, you have pointed out a very good, I can say suggestion that why should we not use the, TV, So, yes, earlier time we had the broadcasting through radio, community radio program was there, we have, TV was popularized, what you said, 20-30 years ago. And even recently, government has taken very much initiative for different classes should be, done through, the different program to, across different length and breadth of our country through DTH, right? So it's really a very good opportunity, and we have to. It has merits and it has also a slight demerit also. We need to take into account. See, every students in our B.Ed program when we were doing, there was a component called individual differences. Okay, so there are individual differences, and being a teacher, we should give respect to that thing, because all the students are not equally smart. Everyone can get pass into the exam, but they proceed in their own speed, right? So if we are channelized through TV, definitely it will fulfill so, and it will definitely reduce the cost, and it is very cost effective. Okay, but suppose we have the YouTube, we are sharing our videos and audios. In that particular aspect, one can, see the things again and again. I am sharing my experience. When I was doing a faculty development program designed by Ramanujan College, Delhi University, certain aspect at the initial stage I did not follow. So what I did, I repeatedly see the same video, which is not in case of TV. Maybe the smart TV nowadays you can record the video, you can see in the later time also. But in basically the low cost TV, we do not have those facilities, right? So for that reasons we need to have. And the second one is what you said, that if someone is from BJP college or someone from even at other colleges, Ravensa University, definitely it is a most welcome step if they will prepare certain lectures and give, because they have a very close proximity. There is a concept called near neighbor analysis in geography. Okay, if you are very close to me, then definitely you have a very good impact. So someone taking in Oxford and someone is taking a class in Ravensa, definitely Ravensa lecture will be more effective, because it is very close to the culture of receivers, right? But again, we have to take care when we are doing. Again, in particularly in India, Russia, UK, they are giving very much priority since very long time regional aspect. Okay, we do have regional disparity, regional inequality, and over times many great economics, they are saying that inequality growing in India at a very rapid scale. So if we look at, there are divides across the social geographical space. So we should also take into account the geographical aspect, because say for example you are saying someone is taking classes in BJP college and one is studying in say for example one backward college, right? I'm giving one example. In backward region, majority student took mathematics because they are not getting chance in other subject, but the most talented student get admitted into mathematics department in Ravensa or in BJP college. So can you see the difference? So mathematics is one of the most difficult subject. Students, those who are very poor in mathematics, they are compelled to take this because none other courses are available. Say for example, the other subject of these things. So my point of saying is that your suggestion is most welcome, and not a single platform can fulfill the needs and requirement of higher education at present. So every aspect, definitely this suggestion what Vikas bhai has given, what Deepak has already said, that this particular initiative has already been taken by the government, and definitely it reduces the cost. But despite that, as this economically and socio-economically marginalized students, I am not saying they are not talented. I am saying that they find difficult in understanding the most texts which are written in English. Okay, they do find difficult in these things. So at that respect, we have to, for example, if you teach in the remote area of Moirganj, you must have knowledge of Alchiki language, right? Otherwise, whatever maybe you are sitting in Ravensa, but your lecture does not get into this particular level. I am saying my experience. I had a very confusion about the ice and that snow. It get only clarified when I visited the Himalaya. Till that, you masters, this concept has not cleared. What is the biggest difference between these two? So the thing is that whatever we are doing at the platform, online platform, no doubt, it definitely fulfill certain aspect of issue that is we are facing, but we are also give due respect that government should also increase the vacancy, the appointed the faculty which is remain vacant for a very longer period of time. So until unless we are very have a very pathetic situation in higher education in upcoming days. So this is my opinion. It may differ from your point of view, but whatever you said, I agree with you, and that is why Government of India and the Ministry of HRD has already taken the initiative, has already started many online platforms giving many different courses. Even Government of India has already started that online certificate will also be being valid in upcoming time. So definitely it will reduces the cost of these things. And again, one other aspect need to be understand that this online, if we give more priority, as I have said, online platform can only enhance your intellectuality. It cannot develop your interpersonal relation, your psychological development, your social development, your emotional development. That for that reason, offline classes is very important, and that is why I said that human resources cannot be replaced by the technology. Cannot. So we must, what Sid Bhai asked, that we must blended the both the things. And at present, as much as possible, we try our level best to give these programs through TV, through radio. As nowadays, radio is very scarce to see. Okay, so TV is present in every house. So through DTH program, we can give these things, and it has been already done by the government. So can I proceed? Yes.
Yes, please proceed to the next question.
Okay. So now I think Jairam has already been responded. So Bhagya has asked one
Question is how to minimize the gap being created by online learning in short run and make it more inclusive in long run.
Okay.
That is a question by Jairam.
See, I have already talked many things, but I am trying in the short run what we can do. As suggested, by this Deepak and Vikas Bhai and all, that we should run immediate program through TV, through phone. See, now many people are aware of COVID-19 because Government of India has already give some kind of ringtone, and whenever you are giving call, it gives the message about create awareness. So right now we should create awareness. Whatever the platforms we have, we must utilize at our best, and we should also not forget about the socio-cultural inequality or socio-economic inequality, and those who are really marginalized, we should give some kind of subsidy to them, so that they can at least see. In my practical experience, only 10 students are joining out of 32, despite lot of efforts I have done, repeatedly send messages. Probably I find that this message may not reach to that particular persons or to their parents. Okay, and it is not possible for me to go physically to find out their house because now everywhere is lockdown. So in that situation, probably they face network problem, or they do not have whatever the figures I have shown. It is those who are joining the classes regularly. I have contact number, I have contacted and take the responses from them. So these are the things. But those majority who have not joined, what about them? So for that reason, I can say that there might be some sort of problem they are usually facing. Because of that, they are not joining the classes regularly. Otherwise, in physical offline classes, they do regularly join the classes. In offline, definitely 15 to 20 student or 25 student every day join the classes, but now only 5 to 10 students are joining since long time, despite so many efforts. So in that perspective, we should think what is their major problems. It might be that they are not capable of having smartphone, or they are not having maybe this problem will solve if we telecasted through TV and all these things. Okay, but all the course must be designed, and every expert should design the course as per their requirement. Okay, so that is why I said that in short run we can go for this, and we can give some kind of subsidies to not all, but those who really require, those who are really very poor, so that at least they should not be left out because of these situations. Okay, now Subhadra is not asking about questions. Okay, is there any questions? Are we committing meeting?
Plus fourth question. I think the answer would be that question is you have to be strict in class, be it online or offline. Because he's giving example of boy calling during online classes asking about girls. I think only solution would be being strict in the class, be it online or offline.
Exactly. I have already told this. You just tell that particular candidate that you should, this platform is not for this kind of discussions, so you stop it, or this will be informed to the higher authority. Okay, so you can
Very good question by Dr. Sam. The question is, are you addressing the issue in a wrong way by making a social issue a technical one, or are you trying to address a social problem with technology?
I am trying to address the social problem with technology, because as you know, there are diversifications, or there are highly India has a very highly unequal society, and unequal society is find in various aspects. It is not from economic point of view, it is also from social point of view. Under social category we have the education things comes under this, because within that, as I have discussed many things while I have presented, but my point of saying is that I am talking the technology from the perspective of geography and from the perspective of marginal communities, or looking at the technology, how technology increases the gap among the different social category, social group of a particular society. Even we have this top down disparities among the district, but within district, even in a same college, there are many bifurcation, many classes has generated because of offline online classes that is going on. This is my personal experience, might be it varied from person to person. Okay, so I am talking the from that point of view. Yes.
So there is no
Balochan.
Yes.
Balochan, I have a question to you, and also other two speakers, they can also add.
Okay.
And also especially to Biswajit Tani.
Okay.
Because my question is, suppose as Vikas Bhai was suggesting about the popularizing this e-learning platform. So my question is, suppose if you take the example of private platform like Baiju or Unacademic, they are already popular among the people, and people are also students, and people they are also accessing this channel. But why government platform like Swayam Portal or e-Parsala, these are not so much popular among people? Is there any issue related to market, or any content issue, or any structural issues there? So what are your view on this? Why this private platform are popular but not government platform?
Can I take this question?
Yeah,
Sure.
please.
So first of all, let me tell you that I have been teaching online for the last 6 to 7 years. I have also taught from these new private platforms that you were talking about. I have been watching Unacademy since 2014, when they were not even a company. Right now they are valued at over $1 billion. That's like bigger than even IITs, right? And Baiju is valued at, I think, more than $5 billion. I don't think even any of our IIT is worth that valuation. So how come that a one man called Baiju, in fact it is the surname of that guy who has started this company, has made a company to this big and this popular, but our government educational institutions are not at all that popular. Even IITs are of not are of no match to Baiju when it comes to popularity, valuation. Obviously, valuation is not everything, but that is important thing to note here. Why they are popular is because they are trying to solve the problems of the consumers, right? Instead of thinking about the politics behind it or the different aspects behind it. So the most important thing is that students want something interesting to learn. If you feed in everything to them, they will not be interested. And we human beings are always curious to know more things. Even students are very interested, right? It's not like students are not interested to learn. They want to learn, but the way we present things to them, they are bored. They are not interested to learn. They are not ready to spend time. That's why they are gamifying everything they are teaching. So if you watch lectures on Baiju's YouTube channel, some of the things that he has explained in such a manner that it will be very interesting to students actually, because it's more of a like playing game. So you actually play games, which is very interesting, but at the same time you learn things. And that for that he has put in a lot of effort to, first of all, to do research on that. Second, to sort of bring that kind of audio visual technology into that form. Something that is missing out when it comes to government e-education, whether it's Swayam or the other one that you mentioned, where I have used Swayam. Actually, the quality is actually not that as good as, say, for example, Baiju or an academy. Okay, and secondly, marketing. Right, we are living in a world of marketing, and the government is not at all doing that. It's not marketing things. It's not doing branding. Whereas Baiju and Unacademy, they are doing a lot of marketing. Shahrukh Khan is a brand ambassador of Baiju. Many film stars are brand ambassador for Unacademy. And in the web series now you see on YouTube or in Netflix, you see the advertisement of Unacademy. But government is not doing that, right? So it's important to be like more of a high quality company where you actually build world class product, but at the same time do world class marketing, which is what Baiju and Unacademy are doing.
Okay.
Did that answer your question, Deepak Babu?
Yes, but I didn't count because don't think that government is not trying to popularize, because government is also spending money on advertisement, and so I didn't count whether it is with the problem of policy making or the problem of content design or research or R&D behind it. I didn't.
Everything.
Can you elaborate that?
But what is more important, the product actually, right? If you just record, if Soyam was there like 15 years back, it would have been a lot more popular than it is now. Now the competition is much more, right? See, even in those days, right? I don't know if you guys know, Khan Academy is a very popular YouTube or an online platform, right? It has only very simple videos, but it has lost its popularity in the recent times because its videos are very simple. I mean, for a matured audience is fine, but for students you have to gamify it, and that is what Baiju is doing. It is gamifying. It is actually making short movies on each topic. So if it is going to teach Pythagoras theorem, it is making a movie on Pythagoras theorem. Now, if you watch a movie, that's very interesting, right? Instead of just watching some boring lecture, and that's why it is gaining popularity.
Okay. And another thing I would just like to add, see, like it's not true that government thing is not popular, right? But take the example, if I am correct, Balochan sir could clarify my doubt. Like NCRT books, right? So this I think nothing is more popular than these kind of books. So I think in the online platform, online education, the content of SOEM and even IGNU materials, and IGNU lecturers are very good. But thing is that the problem is, what is the objective? So I think Balochan sir, if you could say, like I gave you IGNU materials and NCRT books, but it's about visualizing in the platform, as Pani said ki that it's like a movie you are watching rather than boring lecture. So don't you think that the contents and the materials will take bit time, but it's not true that it's not content rich, or it doesn't have that equivalent matching with the private kind of teaching materials and other contents. What do you think?
Okay, so because why actually you have raised a very good questions that NCRT book, or say for example, personally I can say NCRT book or the materials developed by IGNU or OSU, Odisha State Open University, are very good and very precise in nature. Okay, looking at the distance education mode, and they give the content very precisely and very systematically. I often do, popularize and ask the student that at least you should read the book, and I always provide certain materials from IGNU to my students. As you know, that private things are definitely are more colorful, more attractive in nature in designing certain things. Even certain preparation guides you might have seen seems to be better color picture. I can say that Dhiren has already asking about the advertisement, right? So people are now many, we are sometimes misguided. We do have very good in NCRT book used by many other countries as well, right? It is so good in terms of quality, in terms of NCRT book now has improved much about looking at the recent requirement of the students, and it made very attractive. But maybe it is quite black and white in long time. As you know, these also play a very vital role. Okay, and nowadays there was a passion among the students, among everyone. There are very few students like you and Deepak and all other those who have established themselves by struggling. Okay, but majority have how much they are getting from the private. Okay, everyone has to do their own labor, and they just guide it. But without guidance also, because of your own effort, you are also top exam of India, right? So my point of saying is that these materials are highly rich in terms of content, in terms of exercise, because whenever this particular content is developed within this there is a committee before developing the content. Okay, within this committee there must be the teachers who are really teaching in the classroom. There are, I raised this question maybe 2 or 3 days ago, that when we are formulating model syllabus for our state, similarly we are also the NCRT has the member. If you just open the NCRT book, you will find the core member and your other members of designing the book and keeping the content, and within that those who are really taking the classes, they are the members of that committee. So looking at the psychological development of the student, looking at the other development of the students, they are designing the course. Okay, so that is why I can say these content are no way less than or non-comparable with other content which are developed by private institutions or private body. Okay,
One more thing here, one more thing, Boylachan bhai, is NPTL, right? It's a government initiative. It's hugely popular.
Right.
It's hugely popular.
Yes,
So
yes,
let's not forget that. So it's a government run initiative, but
Yes.
it's very popular among people, but mostly in higher education, not in school education.
Right.
But still, a
Right.
good example, right?
Right. Yes, Bombay IIT, provides so many, course of particularly technological related courses. For example, SPSS, for example, Statas, for example, R, for example, Pythons, and so many other softwares related, lectures through NPTEL program. Many IITs are also being provided. So it is very popular in particularly ITs category. Nowadays, the other social science student or the science students are also getting enrolled into large number, through massive MOOC courses through NPTEL. So in due course of time, even we start today, it is getting nowadays. So whatever the software, whatever the things are coming, it is very quickly reached to the people. Okay. Other times, what it was taking long time to reach to the people. But now the penetration of mobiles or anything, the whatever the thing today developed, it gets popularized within a very short period of time. So I hope within a very maybe 2 to 3 years, all these best platforms will be acquainted with us, and many students get benefit out of it. It's just the initiation, but we should take into account these disparities or diversities that we have when we are doing certain things, and these diversity or these disparities need to be addressed through certain kind of subsidies, because each we are giving laptops or desktop to students who are meritorious in education. So we can also provide basic materials, or we can give in a subsidized rate the materials to the poor students, so that they can also get touch into the and get benefit out of the online classes. So this is my answer to this question.
But Boylochon, in this context, I am little bit agree with Biswajit. The way you express the rich content of NCRT, you may be right that the content of NCRT is rich, but here the question is how we are communicating or how we are reaching out those content with the students. Because I am remembering when I was class 6 student, okay, at that time when I was hearing about that Harappa civilization and Mohenjo-daro, I was thinking, what is that Harappa? What is that Harappa and what is Mohenjo-daro?
Right.
In my preparation of UPSC, I was not clear about that Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, and only that watching that movie Mohenjo-daro, and just before that time when I searched in YouTube, then I found this is a civilization of this time, that time. So my point is that how our teacher is also communicating, how our teacher is communicating, or how our book is communicating with students.
Right.
That is also a matter of concern, because without only with the rich content or without communicating properly with the student, I don't think this will make popular among students. So that is also a concern, that how we are making interesting the classroom education or online platform, that how much we are making it interesting, that matters a lot. Not only this content, because
right. So here the role of the teachers played a big role, right? So the content get popularized through your teachers, and I can say that if a language teacher teach geography, then probability of getting interest will be very, very less. In our state, for example, we are also studying the government schools, and many times we do find, because of shortage of staff, he might not have history in his course when he was a student. I'm talking about a particular teachers, say for example, but as other teachers are not there, so they are going to take the history class. Say for example, in my case, a teacher taught Odia about 33 years, and the last retirement years he took geography. Okay, just whatever written in the book, he came and just read it. I am not blaming the teachers, I am blaming the system. Okay, because of lack of right teachers for the right subject. Why the private, Tanusri has asked a very good question, why the private educations have a very good result as compared to government? It is because they are recruited a history candidate for the history teaching. They are not recruited a language teacher for history teaching, right? So things can be get popularized.
I think Professor, you are giving more examples and mixing with the current scenario. But I think most of the modern institutions nowadays also hiring those with the subject expertise.
My point is that things can be get clarified. If I can teach geography, I can give many examples of a particular topic, so particular concept. But for a particular other subject expert, if he comes to teach geography, then he and not give so much examples to make the concept understand. What Deepak has already raised, the concept called Mohenjo-daro, Harappa and Mohenjo-daro get clarified in, when he saw the movie. I also gave the examples, the concept, the difference between, ice and snow get clarified when I exposed to, Himalaya. If I would not get admitted into JNU, probably I have the, doubt about the, this ice and snow. And I used to, if and by chance I get into this profession, I used to teach there is no much difference between snow and ice to my student. So the thing is that the content is very rich, but only thing is that we have very shortage of qualified human resources in the educational institutions. That is one of the biggest problem. Everybody understood, and technology cannot replace these things. So we need more technology. So just a minute, sir. If one can develop a lecture through online mode, he cannot clarify the doubt through online this video, but because he give one example or he gives one or two example, right, for clarifications. Maybe some students cannot understand the things, but if a particular individual is present to clarify the student, he can give so many ways to make the students understand, right? So technology cannot replace, but technology help to things done better. Okay. So I think.
May I add something?
Yeah, sure.
Hello.
Yes.
You said that subject expert. Besides this subject expert, as your example, you said once you expose to the Himalayan range, then you come to clear that ice and snow.
Right.
Similarly,
Right.
if the teacher's training is not proper, if teacher's training, the particular subject expert training is not proper, then how he or she can teach that properly to the student? How he or she can clarify the concepts of clarity? I mean, how he can give that clarity, understanding of that particular subject to the student? So that is also matters. The teacher's training is also important.
Right.
So,
Right.
So besides this subject, I mean, parent subject, also the training matters. That's what I want to say.
Yes. You are absolutely right, Professor sir. Because pedagogical aspect is there, and this training will give enriching your pedagogical skill. And even if certain people are very, talented in their own field, but they are failed to transact their knowledge to the all the students, right? But an average teacher can also reach all the students. It is because of the pedagogical differences. How you reach to the student, how you reach to the unreached student, that is the most important thing. And pedagogical skill or the training that you are talking about is very important, and it is needed from time to time and a regular basis and a more robust manner. Then only you can update yourself. Otherwise, say for example, if the teachers who were being appointed long back, they were updated, very robust way from time to time, probably they can, what Joydev has asked the questions, right? That is there any age difference also lead to the difference in utilizing the platforms, right? These kind of things may not happen if they were get trained from time to time, right? So the thing is that this pandemic gave lot of exposure, lot of lesson to all the educationists, to all the planners, to all the consultant of education, that we should think these aspects, this pedagogical aspect is very important, and it can enrich through different refresher courses, through different orientation courses, through research activities, short-term courses, and many more things. So you are absolutely right. So this will definitely add the training will add the beauty of transacting. Without training, you can also teach the students, no doubt. But with training, you will give more precise form, and you make the student more better way than anyone else, or I can say before getting the training, right? So you are absolutely right that training is very essential, and as I have said, it is mandatory. It should be mandatory. Yes.
But Balojan, my one thing I will supplement is that training must be mandatory, but that barrier to entry that must not be there. Suppose I want to, suppose after 10 or 15 years of my job, or Biswajit wants, or Vikas I wants, we are not in academy, but suppose we want to join in school education. Suppose we want to teach in high school. Then what is the necessary of that B.Ed entrance? B.Ed test or that OTAT or whatever that entrance examination? Do you think that that is necessary? You can also give those training after joining the service. But where is the necessary of that? Suppose one has already done his PhD, but still he can't teach in high school students.
Right.
So I think that barrier to entry that must not be there.
Yes. So you have raised a very good suggestions, because our education system is too rigid. It must be flexible one. Okay. It does not matter whether you are trained or untrained, but the point is, if you have interest to teach somebody, then definitely you will be a very good teacher. And if you have a interest, then anytime the gate should be open to take the training, to take some basic understanding of say for example, before going to teach, you have some understanding of psychology of the students. Okay, so for that reason you need to have some kind of CT course or some type of B.Ed course, but it should not be fixed. Our education system is very, very rigid in that point of view. So it must be flexible. In foreign, even though I do not read much about these things, but I do agree, maybe Biswajit can add with my point. I think there might not be such kind of rigidity. Okay, that is why they are giving much importance about your interest, not about what many have the B.Ed degree, or many have well trained in different subjects, but if they do not have interest to teach, despite that degree, they are not able to be a good teacher. But there are many teachers who do not have B.Ed degree but have interest. They are the good, after many years they can join to different professions. That must be open. Yes,
it has started already in the higher education in India. So when I was working in Chennai, I used to be a guest faculty for various MBA colleges, also to my alma mater, Madras School of Economics. So it has already started. There are many industry professionals who are having PhD or good masters. They are also teaching part-time on weekends, also in the evening, doing online classes, but also in-person classes. It has happened in the higher education, mostly in the more private and semi-government type institution, not so much in the government institution. In the IIMs and IITs, it has already started in a big way. In fact, in IIM, over 40% of the faculties are basically, from industries and from foreign universities and so on. But not so much in the government run. Yeah, but I think it should be the case also in schools, I would say.
Yes. If you look at the trend of education, right, in recent time, everything getting more of liquid, more of flexible, which it was not there in 10, 15 years ago. Right? So more often, it I think did not have in maybe 20, 25 years ago. So next time we are being more fluid in that situations or that kind of conditions. And what he had mentioned, our education trend is basically started from British education system, and we are also following the education system. And I strongly believe in upcoming time our education system will also be more fluid, more flexible, and more interdisciplinary in nature. And anyone can learn any kind of courses if you have the, because if you have interest, you can explore, you can gain knowledge. I think one of our presenter, she might be there in New York, right? She also said she didn't have much interest on that. She didn't have the qualifications of all these things, but she had strong interest, and she became the one of the most renowned member or say for example scientist of that particular thing, right? So interest play a very vital role, and it should not be the strong barrier that if you do not have the qualifications kind of thing, you cannot do this or cannot do that. It should not be. Yes, it should be open. I think I cover almost all the questions. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
If there are no questions, can I ask one last question? Is it okay, or are we
Yes.
running over time?
Sure.
Yeah, just one question.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. So just one question. It's somewhat controversial, but just I'd like to know your opinion on this. Given that you are in the education field, and those others also who are also in the education field, like to know from them that so what's happening is that